Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Today, our group will be discussing the operational challenges faced by Thompson Telescope Limited, a company that has been experiencing significant difficulties in managing its operations effectively. Through collaborative discussion and critical analysis, we will examine the root causes of these problems and evaluate several potential solutions based on the operation management principles.
Yes, that's right. So our discussion today will focus on the three major operational issues identified in the case study, which is include poor inventory management, ineffective production planning and scheduling, and a lack of coordination and communication between functional departments. We all believe that these issues are interconnected and collectively contribute to the company's declining operational performance, increased cost, and inability to meet the customers' expectations.
So, as we proceed, each group member will contribute their perspective, provide constructive feedback, and build upon one another's ideas in order to reach a well supported consensus regarding the most appropriate solution for the company.
Hello. I would like to begin by discussing the issues of inventory management. So, based on the case study, Thomson Telescope Limited is facing severe inventory related problems, such as the company has accumulated excessive quantities of certain inventory items while simultaneously experiencing shortages of other critical materials. This situation suggests that inventory control mechanisms are not functioning effectively.
Yes, that's true. After carefully considering your point, I agree that inventory management appears to be one of the most critical operational issues. The ABC analysis clearly indicates that a relatively small number of inventory items account for a substantial proportion of the company's total inventory value. But however, despite their importance, these high value items are not receiving adequate managerial um, attention and control.
Well, I would like to expand on that observation right there. For example, item A024 represents a significant percentage of the company's overall inventory investment. If such high value items are not monitored properly, the company risks tying up large amounts of working capital unnecessarily. This not only increases holding costs but also reduces financial flexibility.
I appreciate the points raised so far, but I would like to provide some constructive feedback. In my view, the problem extends beyond simply having too much or too little inventory. The inventory records themselves are highly inaccurate, with accuracy levels reported at about 40%. This means management cannot confidently rely on inventory data when making purchasing or production decisions. Consequently, poor inventory accuracy becomes a major contributor to planning inefficiencies throughout the organization.
That is a very important observation. Based on our discussion, it appears that ineffective inventory management is creating a ripple effect across the organization. It increases operational costs, disrupts production activities, and ultimately affects the company ability to fulfill customers' orders on time.
In my opinion, production planning and scheduling represent an equally significant challenge. The company promises customers deliver lead time approximately 2 weeks. However, actual production often requires up to 12 weeks to complete. This substantially gap suggests serious deficiency in planning, scheduling, and capacity management.
I understand your perspective and I agree that production planning is a major concern. However, I would argue that this issue is closely connected to inventory management. When required materials are unavailable due to poor inventory control, production activities cannot proceed accordingly to the schedule. Therefore, ineffective inventory management may actually be one of the underlying causes of production delays.
I think that both of you raise valid points, and in addition to the inventory shortages, the company also struggles with inaccurate demand forecasting. So, for example, the customer orders frequently, which exceeds our expectations, and it results in urgent production requests that disrupts existing schedules. So, with that, the production managers are constantly forced to react rather than plan proactively.
Yes, I would also like to highlight another operational inefficiency. The company frequently divides production into smaller batches in order to respond to urgent customer requests. While this may seem beneficial in the short term, it actually increases setup times, reduces economies of scale, and creates bottlenecks within the production process. Ultimately, this contributes to longer lead times and lower productivity.
Based on our discussion, it seems clear that the company lacks of a structured production planning system capable of balancing customers' demand with available resources and production capacity.
Well, another critical issue identified in the case study is the lack of coordination between departments. Effective operations management requires different functions to together toward common organizational objectives. Unfortunately, this does not appear to be happening at Thomson Telescopes Limited.
I agree completely. One example is that the sales department frequently promise customers delivery dates without consulting the production department regarding available capacity or material availability. This creates unrealistic customer expectations and place additional pressure on production teams.
Also, I would like to add that the communication problems seems even more serious than that. The case mentioned that sales personnel occasionally enter the warehouse themselves to search for products. This behavior suggests a lack of trust in inventory records and indicate that information is not being shared effectively across departments.
Yes, I think that is an excellent point. When departments operate independently rather than collaboratively, decision making becomes fragmented. Consequently, operational problems become more difficult to identify and resolve because each department focuses only on its own objectives rather than the organization's overall performance.
So, from our collective analysis, we can conclude that inventory management, production planning, and departmental coordination are not isolated issues. Instead, they are highly interconnected and reinforce on another, creating a cycle of operational inefficiency.
In my opinion, implementing a material requirement planning, which is MRP system, would be one of the most effective solutions. This MRP is specifically designed to ensure that the right materials are available at the right time and in the correct quantities. This would be help the company to improve inventory control while simultaneously supporting production planning.
That's true. I agree with that recommendation. An MRP system can generate detailed material schedules based on production requirements and also customer demand forecasts. So this would reduce the likelihood of both stock shortages and excessive inventory accumulation.
Yes, I would like to add some constructive feedback by comparing MRP with another inventory management approach, which is just-in-time JIT. As you know, JIT can reduce inventory holding costs, but I believe MRP is more suitable for Thomson telescope because the company depends on supplier with relatively long and uncertain lead times. Under such circumstances, relying solely on JIT could expose the company to significant supply disruption.
Well, I agree with your assessment. If suppliers were to fail to deliver their materials on time under a JIT system, production activities may come to a complete halt. MRP provides a more structured and reliable approach by accounting for lead times and future production requirements.
Furthermore, MRP would enhance this decision making by providing management with accurate information regarding material requirements, production schedules, and inventory levels. This would contribute significantly to operational efficiency. While MRP addresses technical planning issues, I believe improving coordination and communication between departments is equally important. Operational success depends not only on systems, but also on people working together effectively.
I agree. One practical approach would be to establish regular cross-functional meetings involving representatives from sales, production, purchasing, and warehouse operations. These meetings would facilitate information sharing and improve decision making.
So, do you think implementing an ERP system would provide a more comprehensive solution?
That is an interesting suggestion. Uh, ERP systems certainly offer substantial benefits because they integrate information across multiple business functions. However, ERP implementation often requires significant financial investments, employee training, and organizational change. So, given the company's current challenges, it may not be the most practical short term solution, I think.
I agree with that evaluation. While ERP would be considered as a long term strategic initiative, improving communication channels and establishing formal coordination mechanism would be a more realistic and achievable short term solution.
Well, after evaluating both solutions, I would like to raise an important question for discussion. So, guys, between implementing MRP and improving coordination, which solution should be prioritized by the company?
Well, in my opinion, MRP should be prioritized because it directly addresses the company's most pressing operational problems. For example, we have inventory shortages, excess stock, and production scheduling difficulties. Without a proper planning system, many of the current inefficiencies will likely continue.
I respect your viewpoint, but I would argue that coordination is equally important. Even the most sophisticated planning system cannot function effectively if employees fail to communicate and collaborate. Poor, poor coordination was one of the key factors contributing to the current problems in the first place.
After listening to both arguments, I believe each perspective has merit. MRP provides the technical foundation necessary for better planning and control, while improved coordination ensure that information flow effectively between departments. Therefore, Focusing on only one solution may not produce the desired result.
Yes, that's true. I agree with Lee's statement. Because operational performance depends on both systems and also the people. So the MRP can generate accurate information, but coordination is required to ensure that information is used effectively throughout the organizations.
So, based on our collaborative discussion and evaluation of the available alternatives, our group has reached a consensus that Thomson Telescope Limited should prioritize two complementary solutions, which is implementing a material requirement planning, the MRP systems, and strengthening cross-functional coordination between departments.
Yeah, the implementing of MRP would improve inventory accuracy, support effective production scheduling, reduce stock shortage, and minimize excessive inventory holdings. And also at the same time, improve communication and collaboration would ensure that the decisions are aligned across the organizations.
Okay. Together, I think these solutions would help reduce operational inefficiencies, shorten lead times, improve the resource utilization, and also enhance customer satisfaction through more reliable delivery performance.
Yes, that's true. Furthermore, this improvement would support the company's long-term competitiveness by creating a more responsive and efficient operational system.
So, in conclusion, our analysis demonstrates that the operational issues faced by Thomson Telescope Limited are interconnected and require an integrated solution. By combining MRP implementation with stronger cross-functional coordination, the company can significantly improve its overall operational performance and achieve sustainable growth. Thank you everyone for your participation today.